Michael, please.
Kia ora koutou, and thank you for the opportunity to come in and present on our submission to the draft LTP. We've restricted our submission just to the major event funding piece, which you've heard from a couple of people this morning. The first thing I would say is we certainly at Christchurch Airport understand the difficult choices facing this council. It's something we've talked about on a number of occasions between us. Beyond the stable dividends it provides, Christchurch Airport's a significant financial engine and ratepayer in the city. The economic activity generated at the airport saw a rating contribution last year of between $7 and $8 million on top of that dividend flow. So as we are growing, the value of that contribution is also growing. But while some of that's recovering, it means we also understand the substantial impact that rate rises will have on businesses. We also understand that the choices you make today and during this process on things like bid funding will also have flow-on impacts. We recognise, and you've probably heard us say this before, that the best way for us to create the most value and maximise our profitability in the immediate future is to continue our focus on the visitor opportunities and growth that exists in Ōtautahi Christchurch. It's in the city's interest that those events and activities that provide a return to it, whether it's through positive, social, wellbeing or economic impacts, or through financial returns from its ultimate investment in city assets and infrastructure, that those events are well supported. When I was preparing for today, I went back and I found this, and it'll be familiar to some of you. It's Destination 2025. And it's a piece of work that was done in the days after the earthquake, and it became the framework for what was our visitor strategy. It recognises that the importance of a strong visitor economy for the regeneration of our city. And it broke the recovery into a number of phases: getting organised for success, building momentum, and then finally accelerating. We should be in the acceleration phase now. And you've heard the words used by Business Canterbury around golden decade. That is where we should be. If you'll recall, the earthquake shifted Christchurch from a position of accumulated advantage to one of accumulated disadvantage, or a structural change. And that disadvantage was most apparent in the visitor economy, where we were locked out of participating in a number of sectors. And the final piece of the puzzle of successfully regenerating the local economy was leveraging the opportunities that would come our way. Attracting and using major events to build Christchurch's profile as a destination was seen as a major feature of this. Why is that? The numbers speak for themselves. The event sector nationally is considered to be worth around $700 million per year, and we've heard from people this morning about how ferociously that's competed for. Before the earthquakes, that was an area of accumulated advantage for the city. And aside from the social and wellbeing benefits, visitors, who are also temporary residents of this city, bring with them clear economic benefits. For every dollar spent locally by a permanent resident, a major events visitor to this city will spend $13. That rises to approximately $35 if they're a visitor for a major business event. Christchurch, New Zealand's forecast return from investing in that event funding over the next 10 years could be in the region of $670 million for the city. So the council should be commended for having made and continuing to make large capital investment in events infrastructure. Much of that is world class. And I think we also have to take our hat. We heard from the private sector this morning about the role they also play in that, and I think they deserve credit for that. And that investment has been well positioned, and it's secured our seat back at the highly competitive events table. And the city is now seeing the benefits flow through. We have a unique window of opportunity to capitalise on that new infrastructure. But in the absence of operational investment, we're less likely to be able to leverage that investment in infrastructure and fully re-establish ourselves as a premier events destination. And just finally, and if I may, this is slightly tongue-in-cheek, but there is a serious note to it. At a recent meeting, it was asked whether airports outside of this city would have an impact on tourism within this city. And I guess what I would encourage this council to do as you think about that is to take the opportunity to demonstrate its support for its tourism and visitor economy by supporting that event funding. Thank you.
Thank you. One question, Aaron, please.
Yeah, just quickly, we've had a lot of people asking for us to not cut the bid funding. Given how the value of it to the airport, would the airport be interested if we were putting some back to match it dollar for dollar?
I think that's always a conversation. It's probably not part of the LTP, but it's a conversation.
Would you be open to that conversation?
Well, I can't answer that here, but I'm sure it'd be a conversation if raised would be discussed.
Cool. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Michael. How do you spell